Hello there. Welcome everyone to our info session for crime analytics for the spring summer 2026 term. My name is Mushar Chaudhry, and I'm the manager of recruitment and sales for the Chang School. Now, before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which Toronto Metropolitan University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. I thank the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island for their efforts to protect the land, and I deeply regret the past injustices they have endured. As Toronto Metropolitan University seeks to move forward in partnership with Indigenous peoples, I pledge to foster an environment that is more inclusive and welcoming of Indigenous peoples from all communities. Now, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. Your microphone is muted so throughout the event so we don't disturb the other attendees or the presenters. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And you can submit your questions at any time by typing them into the question box. We'll collect them throughout the session and address them during the Q&A portion at the end of the presentation. Now I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. Raymond Garrison, Academic Coordinator and Lecturer at the Chang School. Next, we have Ian Williams, who is the Director of Information Management at Toronto Police and Lecturer at the Chang School. And finally, Travis Johnston, Divisional Crime Analyst at Hamilton Police and a recent grad of the certificate. We're really excited to have this amazing panel of speakers share their insights. But before that, we'll do a quick poll to check the temperature of the room here. So if you can just take out your phone or jump on a browser and go to menti.com and enter the code that's on the screen. We'd love to get your feedback and your participation in this poll. So yeah, if you can go to menti.com, the code is 54193860, and it's going to just take a few seconds. And like I said, it really helps provide feedback to our panelists today and to our team later on. So the question that you will see is what motivated you to consider this certificate? And you'll see some options there: career advancement, career change, skill building for a current role, personal interest, and other. So we'll leave that on for just a few more seconds and then we'll move on to the next poll. We have another poll for you, which is really quick as well. Looks like career advancement and career change are the top two, 3 and 2 votes for those, which is pretty consistent with our other sessions that we have. So thank you again for participating. And here's the next question, which is, what is your current level of knowledge in the field of crime analytics? There's 3 options there as well. High, I'm well informed about the field. Moderate, so I have basic awareness. And then low, I have minimal or no prior knowledge, which is totally fine as well. And yeah, it's like I said, menti.com. The code is 54193860. And the question is, what is your current level of knowledge in the field with high, moderate, and low as your options? So it looks like we have a majority in moderate, so people that have a basic awareness of the program, and there's one person with minimal or no prior knowledge. All right, well, that's good to hear and good to know. Thank you for participating. And at this time, we'll stop sharing my screen and move on to the presentation. I will now invite our academic coordinator and lecturer, Raymond Garrison, who is also the director, and Ian Williams, who's the director of information management with Toronto Police and also a lecturer at Chang School to go over a brief overview of the certificate. Welcome. Go ahead, Raymond. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I was on mute there. Thank you, Monsieur. And I said, next slide, please. And yeah, you didn't hear me because I was on mute. All righty. Okay. So we'll start off with some quick facts. The Crime Analytics Certificate is completed fully online. There are no in-person sessions. Um, it involves taking 6 courses. It is a highly structured certificate. There are 5 courses that are required, and there is a list of electives. There's about 8 or 9 electives, among which you choose one to go along with your certificate. In that sense, you can tailor your specific interests in a particular area with respect to the selection of your elective. Then it takes about a year to finish the certificate, 12 months, but it can take up to 16 months depending on when the courses are offered. There might be a term when there might be a course you want to take and it's not offered in the particular term, so you have to wait another term to take it. So that's why I say 12 to 16 months, but you can finish it within the 16 months for sure. And the cost for the course is per course. So when you enroll in the course, you put it in sort of your shopping cart and then you check out just as you would for other online purchases, and you pay at that time for that course. So you don't pay the entire course fee up front, you pay per course as you progress through the certificate. Next slide, please. So why learn GIS in general? Well, GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems, and it's become increasingly important planning tool because everything is spatial. We like to look at data across space. It's not only important to know what is happening, which the data can tell you, but where it's happening and relative to other things. So GIS allows you to layer data on interactive maps, and Ian will say a bit more about this, so that you get a visual impression of the interrelationships among variables in a specific area. And I'll give you an example. We've all fairly recently passed through the COVID-19 global pandemic. And one of the things where GIS, one of the applications where GIS was really, really useful was understanding where to locate vaccination centers and also what hours you should have for the vaccination centers and vaccination rates and so forth. So, for example, across the city of Toronto, if you found there was an area where vaccination rates were not that good, maybe you want to tailor your advertising programs and encourage people to go and get vaccinated in those areas. Maybe your center is only open 8 hours a day. It needs to be a 24-hour center. You can do that to increase people's access to the center around the clock. So a number of things could be done. And this sort of data was monitored continuously. So a policy decision would be made, they'd implement it, increase the hours or open up another center, and then immediately be able to see the effect of that spatially in the city. You can also correlate it with socioeconomic data. Sometimes people are, particularly if you have a lower income, you may be working multiple part-time jobs, so you don't have much time to get to a center. So maybe you need more centers that are close together in that area, or centers with longer hours for people who work at night or in the day, whenever. So a lot of data was continuously being analyzed in order to respond appropriately with respect to having these centers available for people to increase vaccination rates. Of course, vaccination rates are something else that's mapped as well. It's one of the layers. So GIS analysis can feed directly into decision-making processes and the development of policy response options, as I've outlaid here. So you can get a snapshot of what the situation is right now, but you can also look at multiple GIS products across time and analyze the trends over time as well. And Ian will give us a little more insight with respect to crime analytics specifically. But I like to use the COVID-19 example right off the bat because that's something we can all relate to. Next slide, please. So trends in crime analytics. So there's a growing demand for analytics professionals in all industries, which I'll say a little bit more later on. Community safety and well-being. There's a community safety and well-being emphasis across all Canadian municipalities, and Ian will elaborate on that. There are a number of different positions that you'll see advertised related to crime analytics, such as crime analysts, intelligence analysts, fraud analysts, and many other roles supporting community safety and well-being. And it's not just within police forces. Our graduates find jobs in both government and private sector, and sometimes even in the third sector, volunteer sector. So I'm going to pass it over to Ian to talk about the subsequent slides now.
Thanks, Raymond, and hi, everyone. Just to piggyback off Raymond's description of some of the trends in crime analytics, we are seeing these extending out to multiple industries where historically we might have seen it most specifically in public safety or law enforcement. We see it much, much broader than this today, and a lot of private sector roles showing up as well. And so, in order to help students get a good path in their minds and to help connect that career path with the technologies, data analysis, and mapping tools, we begin the program really helping them to focus on like what do those roles look like? Where do you find them, and what are the skill sets you need in order to go into one area or another? We do emphasize a lot of the community safety and well-being elements. As Raymond mentioned, every municipality has a program or a plan, which generally includes multiple different agencies and departments within that municipality. We similarly see provincial, federal, and private sector organizations within that as well. And a really important aspect of the program is how multidisciplinary it is. So we have programming and courses from criminology, sociology, psychology, and geography. So truly multidisciplinary, which really helps to bring a lot of different perspectives to bear when we're applying crime analytics. And so you don't just get the tools and technology skills in order to analyze data, produce the spatial products. We also bring in that multi-sector perspective and different theories to apply those tools. And literally from the outset of the program, we do focus very much on hands-on technical GIS skills and data analysis skills. And a big part of that is building a portfolio for you as you move through the program. We'll go to the next slide, and just looking at how we use the hands-on aspect of the work using real data. So an important element in the program is that we do want to make this as practical as we can. And so we use real community safety and well-being data. There are a number of different, predominantly police agencies, but increasingly different government agencies which make open data available. And so we use that throughout the program, really to help gain experience with pattern and trend analysis, to get hands-on experience with data problem solving, not just how do I solve a problem with that data and make recommendations about it, but the hands-on experience needs troubleshooting. And to learn how to use the products, the GIS tools, and to do the analysis, you have to be hands-on with real data to do that. And so this is a pretty big element that we emphasize. Our next slide, we look at some of the skills development. So we really aim for skills that are necessary in the market today. And we have a very high employability subsequent to the program. Travis is here with us today. You'll hear from him shortly, just in relation to some of the success around that career path. And Travis is one of many, but a great example of someone who identified a career path, used the program in order to enable that career path. And one day I fully expect to be reporting to Travis. So I'm looking forward to some of those next steps as well. And you know, lots of different students finding career paths that were either expected and part of the plan, or sometimes roles come up and we didn't know those roles existed until we entered the program. And so we help create a set of skills for you that's going to bring data management, presentation skills. So developing not only live presentation skills and practice, but also recording different content using data and making presentations that allow those presentations to occur even when you're maybe not in the room, and really learning how to multiply your skill set across a lot of different opportunities, kind of 10xing yourself. We do, of course, use the most current GIS technology, and most specifically, we focus on ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Online, but we do bring in open source tools like QGIS as well. And all of that leveraging the TMU's virtual desktop, which is a state-of-the-art virtual lab, giving access not only to those spatial analysis tools, but a whole array of other technical products that are going to be useful for you throughout the program and then through your career beyond that as well. And so our next skill, our next slides, professional application. So of course, I'm going to transition this more over to Raymond, but in addition to the skills that we develop through the program, there's lots of other supports, and the school is here to help find those career opportunities and the experience. And I think I pass it over to Raymond from here.
Thank you, Ian. So, as it says here, multiple opportunities for creative thinking, collaboration, and networking, as Ian has said previously. Next slide, please. So who should take this certificate? Those looking to upgrade their skills or make a career change. And we found from the poll, thank you very much, Mashur, for running the poll. I find that very valuable at the beginning to know what people sort of want to get out of the certificate. So it is tailored toward that, to basically what everybody is looking for. And recent university graduates starting out in the GIS industry also take the certificate because there are multiple entry-level jobs that you can get into no matter what your undergraduate degree was in. It's a good skill set to have if you're working with any form of data. If you're able to spatialize it, that is a valuable skill in all work settings. Those new to Canada looking to build a new career. As I say, the certificate only takes about a year or 16 months to complete. So it gets you job ready very quickly. And toward the end of the presentation, I'll say a little bit more about some assistance you can get with finding employment as well. And no prior experience with GIS or statistics is required. But you do, of course, have to know how to use a computer. Okay. Access files and things like that. But beyond basic computer skills, you don't need any prior experience. And by completing the certificate, you'll apply your extensive practical experience in GIS mapping, data analysis, and decision support, understand criminal justice policing and criminal behavior, understand the role of crime analysts in evidence-based policing, and the uses and misuses of data analysis. So it's really hands-on, and you are able to produce products that feed directly into decision making. So there's not just the technical side, as Ian was saying earlier, there's the analytical side as well that you'll get, that analytical skill set that you'll get by taking this certificate, completing the certificate. Next slide, please. So the certificate course structure, as I said at the very beginning, when I was talking about the quick facts, involves these 5 mandatory courses. The first one is in criminology, CCRM 318. Then we have CODG 101 and 102, which are offered every single term, and those are the required courses in order to take the higher level courses. And then you have CODC 910 and CODC 911, which Ian will talk about on the next slide in a moment. So as I said, you can complete the certificate entirely online. Most components are asynchronous. But there are also synchronous opportunities, particularly I know Ian holds some sessions where you can meet up with people and collaborate and so forth like that within his courses. If you're unsure, if you want to do the entire certificate, you can enroll in just CODG 101 or CODG 102. Just take one course first and check it out. And you can take 101 and 102 in any order. And that's a pathway that some people do embark upon. Most people go directly into registering for the certificate. But if you're unsure, just try one course and see how it goes. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it back to Ian for this particular slide because he has designed these two courses, and it's like a two-part capstone, and he'll be able to explain that to you now. Over to you, Ian.
Thanks, Raymond. So just looking at what generally are the final steps in the learning journey for the certificate, we see CODC 910, which is really the culmination of your analytical skills and your multidisciplinary work up to that point. So by the time you get here, you'll have taken a couple of GIS courses. You'll have taken at least a couple. You'll have taken criminology, sociology, psychology, focused courses, and we'll really start to hone in on applying those for very specific crime analysis purposes. We'll emphasize, of course, throughout that the role of the crime analyst. You'll prepare briefing notes as you would very much in the workplace, presentations, and getting into real recommendations that you'll make on crime trends that exist in a number of jurisdictions. We will look at both tactical, so very much like how do I address this specific crime series, as well as strategic. What are the types of resources we would need to address this volume of reported incidents over a period of time? And from there, we move into the final project, which you will identify and really work together with the instructor, in this case myself, to build out a project that is interesting and meaningful to you. Generally, students pick something that is quite topical from a community safety and well-being perspective. These days, there would be a lot in relation to auto thefts, gun violence. We see a lot of various types of crime, largely, again, based on real data and real public safety problems that exist in different communities across Canada. And we'd spend the semester building out that project, scoping it, and then literally designing that in a way to deliver by the end of the semester. And that also becomes part of your portfolio at the end of the course, is to be able to demonstrate to potential employers, here's the type of work that I can do, here's the technologies I can use, and here's some of the output that I've been able to achieve through this time. And so always very interesting topics, always shifting again, depending on what's happening, usually in Canada, but sometimes broader than that as well, and using real data, which I think is always an interesting aspect. So this is really how we've designed this final two parts of the learning journey and the certificate. And we do get a lot of interesting work as a result, and lots of students like Travis, as I mentioned, go on to apply that in the workplace, and it becomes tangible really fast.
I'm just going to wrap up rather quickly now. Just review the program highlights. It offers practical training and theoretical education you need for a successful career as a GIS professional. Includes a series of small hands-on activities and assignments, as well as a major project in the capstone course, as Ian said, in CODC 911, all of which become part of your portfolio. Ian has mentioned the portfolio several times, and graduates have said that they've actually taken components of their portfolio to demonstrate, to illustrate to interviewers, that they have the skills to undertake the tasks that the job requires. There's one thing to say, I could do this, I've done this. There's another thing to say, look, you can see I've done this, and here's an example. And this is what you build throughout this certificate. This portfolio is invaluable when you're entering the job market. Our instructors are highly motivated, experienced industry professionals and academic leaders in GIS who will guide you every step of the way. And then I'll just mention Ian has designed this Community Safety and Wellbeing Spatial Analytics Leaders Award, which can you say a few words about that, Ian?
I certainly can. So this is designed to recognize students who are excelling in the program, who are demonstrating an interest in this space. And I think really it's to recognize the work that students are putting into this. And there's a a bit of an award financial aspect, which hopefully is a helpful one associated to this award. And so we've done that really again to make the program work more meaningful and recognize it at a higher level as well. And we've seen a lot of successful students who've received this award go on to be recognized even further beyond, because their work is not just reflected through the award, but other things that they do as a result.
Thank you, Ian. Next slide, please. So once you've passed through the crime analytics certificate program, and you have those GIS skills and experiences and applications, you can carry those skills onto careers in other domains, such as urban and land use planning, infrastructure and utility assessment and planning, retail location analysis, environmental management, marketing, social services, health services, transportation, and banking and finance. So GIS has applications in a multitude of areas. There's going to be another presentation next Friday on the Applied Digital Geography and GIS certificate, which deals more with these other career options. Next slide, please. And finally, I'm just going to wrap up by mentioning some learner benefits that you have access to as a student enrolled in the certificate program. Career advising and professional development support, industry connections, student community and networking opportunities, as Ian has said, flexible learning with dedicated academic guidance, full access to TMU resources and learner privileges, and access to financial support, awards, and bursaries. Although the certificate program is not eligible for OSAP, there are a number of awards and bursaries that are available. And that's it. I'll pass it back to Mashur.
Thank you so much, Raymond and Ian. It was a really exciting stuff. Thank you for sharing that overview with us. I love how it's a multi-sectoral approach and how hands-on we are with the data and real-world scenarios. Now it's my pleasure to introduce one of the students of the certificate and divisional crime analyst at Hamilton Police, Travis Johnston. Welcome, Travis.
Hi, welcome. So I'd just like to start by thanking everyone for attending the presentation. I think this shows a big step towards your career development just by attending. My name's Travis Johnston. I'm a graduate of the Crime Analytics Certificate. I graduated in 2024. Currently a divisional crime analyst with Hamilton Police Service. I've been in my role for just about 2 years now. In my role, I review and analyze crime trends within one division in Hamilton. So there are 3 total. And then I'll communicate with the other divisional analysts in the city to determine any citywide crime trends that may be occurring. I also provide investigative support to various units within the service, including plainclothes officers for their undercover operations, criminal investigations branch for any larger scale investigations that we're having. Recently, it was a part of an intelligence investigation, Project Heirloom, which was a multi-jurisdictional investigation into Eastern European organized crime. Some of the work I produce involves cell tower data, tracker data, creating heat maps for that. So, for example, for auto theft and recovery locations, just to try and determine any trends in theft locations or cooldown spots for after vehicles are stolen. Making social network charts to illustrate complex organized criminality. I also liaise with outside agencies within Ontario Crime Analyst Network on crime trends that occur across the province and country. Within our service, there are various analysts. There are intel analysts focused on organized crime, unit-specific analysts such as homicide or break and enter, strategic analysts. Those look more at operations and efficiency of the service. So they would answer questions such as, are our divisional boundaries efficiently drawn, and where can the service be most successful and efficient? You're seeing that analysts are increasingly playing a key role in modernizing of policing. My experience in the course, so I graduated, so it provides great hands-on real-world experience. You're using publicly available data, as has been mentioned. The work you complete will be directly transferable into the workforce. You're going to gain experience cleaning data. So that's a key step in the analytic process. The information you're getting is rarely in any usable format. So gaining that experience and to cleaning it up is a key skill to learn. And it's essential in conducting analysis. So I had applied to Hamilton Police Service in early 2023 and was unsuccessful in getting the role. I had several years analytical experience as a fraud analyst with RBC, but lacked the technical experience in GIS. So I then, as many as you did, researched educational programs focused on crime analytics and found and enrolled in this program. The education around the technical software, particularly ArcGIS, was hugely beneficial. It's not a user-friendly or intuitive program, so trying to learn it on the job would be hugely stressful and overwhelming, I would think. But the way it's taught in the program is very step by step, and from the beginning of the introduction courses to the end of those courses, you'll be amazed at the progress that you've made. So I applied again to Hamilton Police Service about a year later in 2024 and was successful. And I really feel that the education I gained through this certificate was instrumental in this success. The tools and techniques I daily use are ones I've been trained on in the program. As I mentioned, they have a steep learning curve, but they are taught very gradually. You're obviously also opening up a great networking opportunity. You're in a program with like-minded individuals. While the program is largely focused on crime analytics, the tools and methods can be applied to a variety of analytical roles, as has been discussed. Crime analytics is definitely a growing sector. There are always roles being posted. Police services are increasingly seeing the benefit of data-led policing and the importance of analytics, and continue to add and expand to these positions. I know London and Barrie, their chiefs of police are huge supporters of evidence-led policing, and you can see that in the technologies and roles that they are investing in their services. And I think those are just a few examples, but we're seeing that across the province and the country.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that, Travis. Stories like yours are really inspirational for us, and it's the reason why we do what we do. So thank you to our speakers. That ends the presentation portion of today's session. We'll now open the floor to everyone for Q&A. Please enter your questions by typing them in the question box. Okay, so first question is, Raymond, from your experience teaching the program, what's the moment where students usually realize this is what crime analytics actually looks like in practice?
I think Ian would be the best one to answer that because he teaches one of the two introductory courses. So you must see that sort of connection being made. He teaches CODG 102. Over to you, Ian.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think usually within the first or second course, students are picking that up. Certainly within CODG 102, there's already crime analysis and there's some health analysis assignments. Again, everything's real world. From day one, you're using real data from real jurisdictions, although sometimes some different use cases in the earlier courses that aren't necessarily only crime analytics. But you're doing that from day one, and a lot of the skills are transferable. So you could do the same thing with a health-based analysis on cancer rates as you can in many ways with where crime patterns exist. There's a lot of the hotspot mapping, different applications you're developing, the trend analysis that you're doing. So I'll say pretty much from the first course.
And as you walk your way through the first course, because when you initially open up the software, it may seem very daunting. As Travis said, it's not necessarily intuitive and difficult to sort of learn on the job, but you're guided through it step by step with small assignments, self-tests, and so forth in the modules of the course. And you'll get the 3, 4, 5 modules in and say, hey, I can do this. So I think that moment comes along as you get into the course because you'll experience the gradual progression of skill development. So what seems daunting at the beginning, and all the courses are designed that way, will seem like a path that you can really follow.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, both Ian and Raymond. Next question is, how collaborative is the role of a crime analyst? Is it working independently with data or closely with investigators and operational teams? So maybe Ian, you can start, and then Travis, you can chime in.
Yeah, I'll say highly collaborative. Those are roles which are necessary. And of course, this is speaking very much from a law enforcement or a public safety perspective. I think in other crime analysis type roles, so for example, like the transit analyst, that would work in the Toronto Transit Commission or Mississauga Transit, because they hire crime analysts as well. Just two other examples where you're working with operational folks hand in hand. But I'll pass to Travis, who can speak more to that.
Yeah, I'd say it's certainly predominantly collaborative. There are certainly times when you're just head down working on a project, but crime doesn't necessarily contain to one district. So I've been working on break and enter series in Hamilton, where we found that individual offended also in Halton and Peel. So working with those analysts just to collect the data and analyze any, try and identify any additional entries that we can tie to this individual. I mentioned I had worked on the intelligence project on organized crime. So that was offenders living in Toronto that were offending in Hamilton. So again, we had to rely on collaborating with Toronto analysts just to be more effective and efficient in collecting and analyzing the data that we had. So yeah, it's a key. So there is the Ontario Crime Analyst Network, as I've noted, as I mentioned previously. So it's just a network of every crime analyst in the province, and there are also private sector contacts in that organization as well. So you're always relying on not relying, but utilizing the assistance of others.
No, that sounds amazing. The fact that you can collaborate with other units like that, it should be exciting and fun. So while I have you, Travis, there's another question here. It's since you completed the certificate and are now working in the field, was there a particular course or project that directly translated into your work?
Yeah, so the capstone project, so that I chose to focus on auto theft. We're seeing now a slight decline in auto thefts kind of across the province, and I think that's as a result of increased funding into addressing this issue. But at the time when I was in the program, it was really a key problem. So that was an area I chose to focus on because I figured once entering the field, it would probably be an issue that I would be dealing with. And yeah, I use that for identifying cool off spots. So after cars are stolen, they're usually left for a day or two in a spot to see if it's being tracked. So if we're seeing a lot of those being recovered in the same area, we can deploy patrols to those areas to try and catch them offenders in that at that moment. So yeah, that was a key.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. There's one more question which our client services rep, Safia, has already answered via text, but I just want to read it out for everyone. So the question was, do you feel like this program is doable with the full-time job? I'm currently working full-time as an analyst and cannot quit to be a full-time student. And obviously, Safia gave a really great answer. I just want to read it out. It's yes, all of our certificates are considered part-time study geared towards mature students, many who work full-time. So students have, up to 4 years to complete the certificate requirements. And if you plan to work on a full-time basis, it's recommended that you take a maximum of 2 courses per term, but it's definitely doable while you are working full-time.
I completely agree with that. So many of our students are doing that. And Travis, that sounds a lot like Travis's journey so far.
Yeah, I was an analyst in the financial services. So yeah, I was working full time and completing this and didn't have any issues balancing those two.
I would say that most of our students are in that situation. Um, as was said, the maximum you would take is 2 courses per term. Some people take even 1 course a term because it's 6 courses and you have 4 years. So you have 12 terms. So there may be a term when things are really busy and crazy at work. You can't take a course that term. That's fine because you've got 12 terms.
Okay, next question is for the crime analytics project. Can we use real-world data from the Toronto Police Open Data Portal, or are we provided specific data sets?
Great question. So, you can absolutely, although I will also add to that to say there are multiple portals now, which we encourage using. So, certainly Toronto Police's was the first in the industry to do this, and probably you're going to find the most data there. However, there's many other jurisdictions which have followed suit and produced similar portals. And so we can look, maybe not to every big jurisdiction nationally, but quite a few across the country. And there's a lot of US agencies that do something comparable as well. So you can also look outside of Canada if that's of interest too.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ian. And while I have you, the next question you might want to start. For someone considering this career path, what does a typical day look like for a crime analyst inside a police service?
Oh, good question. I'll give a quick response and then pass it over to Travis because he can speak to that firsthand. I was a crime analyst way back in the day, but when I was doing that, a lot of the work was data cleaning. A lot of our tools have advanced quite a bit since then. We have, the things that we learn in the program show us how to automate data cleansing processes. And so we have a lot more tools available today. And so mostly when I see day to day, you're working hand in hand with investigators or senior members of the organization to help understand a trend or a pattern so that we can make decisions about where do we need more resources, how are we responding to a particular issue, what's upcoming, and are we seeing many of these all across our jurisdiction or in particular areas? And again, lots of highly fascinating, quickly moving work. But I'll pass it to Travis, who can speak more to that.
Yeah, so there are a number of different types of analysts. So I'm a divisional analyst. So like key to my role is just understanding crime in my division. So that involves I review all occurrences that happened the previous night, or if it's a Monday, very quickly trying to read occurrences that happened over the weekend, and then I'm briefing commanders and the who ultimately brief the chief on all the events that are happening. I also try and make linkages to crimes. So if we see, say, a vehicle stolen and then a similar vehicle used as a crime vehicle in another occurrence, just making sure investigators are aware of these linkages. If we're seeing any patterns, if we're seeing a rise and an increase in any type of crime or MO, bear spray is a rising weapon that we're seeing in Hamilton. So just developing investigations or educational messaging that can go out on that. So it's if you were an intel analyst, it would be social media reviews, what's going on there. But it's a lot of collaboration, as I mentioned. So it's just kind of always trying to keep an understanding of what's going on and trying to stay one step ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. So with that, we are actually at time and we don't have any more open questions. I wanted to take this moment to thank all of our guest speakers today and thank you all for taking the time out of your day to attend the online session. If you're interested in learning more about the Crime Analytics Certificate, please visit our website at continuing.torontomu.ca. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me directly at maj.chaudhry at torontomu.ca. All of the information shared and the recording of this session with the survey will be sent to you with the follow-up email within the next 24 to 48 hours. And on behalf of the Chang School and all of our speakers today, thank you for joining us and have a great rest of the day.